Alright, hello everyone, welcome. Alright, on our previous video we covered steps 1 through 4. And, well, they were mostly not doing anything cool. All we did was import the Excel sheet that we worked on steps 1 through 3. And on step 4 we uploaded, or imported, the Excel sheet. We also went back to the design view and made sure that these data types are correct. So now that we have all our fields labeled and everything set, we can move on for steps 5 through whenever I guess the video's gone long enough. So let me just make sure I have this thing over here where I can see it. Alright, start playing some music. Lower the volume a little bit. Alright, so step 5. That one asks us to, actually I don't need this open anymore. Step 5 asks us to create a query that returns all stocks whose total dollar value on November 1st is greater than or equal to 100,000. Save this query as stocks that gained value. So, as you can clearly see here, dollar values, there are those that have greater than 100,000. So what we need to talk about first is what is a query. Well, a query asks us to basically say, I need only certain things returned with certain criteria. And the query says, alright, I'll go through that, and it brings up, when you run the query, it brings up just that. So what we're going to do is do a query, and there are two ways of doing queries. It's through query design or the query wizard. There's also a third way, which is SQL. I'll be covering that in step 6. It's a little complicated, so we're going to use the query design first. So, what we need to do is import the table that I will talk about. So we're going to be adding stock data, since it's the only table we'll be talking about, for now. So now that we have that, we need to talk about what the hell are we doing. Well, in a query, you need to know which fields we actually want to talk about. Now it says to create a query that returns all stocks whose total dollar value on 11/1/2013 greater than or equal to 100,000. Okay. Save this query as stocks that gain value. So first things first, we can save this, and we can say stocks that gained value. Okay. So what we need to do is talk about what we need. What records, what fields do we need? Well, it says we need the dollar value. Alright, so well, there's really no point in returning dollar value if you can't really turn it to a name. Because when you say, oh, this person returned a good value over 100,000, it's no use when you don't have a name, right? So we're going to import company name, and we're going to import the value. So you can either double click, you can drag it, or you can go here and go through this list of stuff. And also it automatically pulls up the table. Why? Because this is a stock data table. So our criteria is that it has a greater than or 100,000. Oops, look at this. Greater than or equal to, I believe that's how it's done, 100. So run the query. Bam. And we have to double check, because I love double checking, and we can clearly see that they are all greater than or equal to 100,000. So we can go back to the design view, and because, actually here, let's run it again. So we are done with step 5. That's really quick, I know. So let's just do something fancy. I love it when data is ordered. So we go back to design view and say sort. Now you can either do ascending or descending, but I think it makes the most sense to do descending to show you the greatest. So we go to descending, run the query, and look, Safeway is actually the highest returning value. Go Safeway. Alright, so now that we have that finished, we can actually move on to step 6. So what's step 6 about? Step 6 is basically the same thing, but it says it wants less than 100,000. Is less than 100,000. So you don't want the equal sign. So we're gonna go create a new query. And which one do we want? Well, we want stock data. So today, or now, rather, we're gonna talk about how to. Doesn't matter. We're now gonna talk about how to use SQL. If you go through the view thing, We are familiar with the datasheet view, which is basically what happens when you run it, the design view, which is basically what we're doing right now, and then there's SQL view. What does SQL stand for? Well, it stands for Structured Query Language. This is what your queries actually input in order to do what it needs to do. Now, what does it mean by that? Well, let's go back to the last query we just did. If we go to SQL view, you can see there's actually some words here. And now we're going to talk about what each one means. Now, there are two important things when you need to know when using SQL view. The most important is the select and the from. These are the two main things that you need to use for SQL. So we're going to start right away. What two things do we need again? We need a company name. So you're going to import all the records that you need within brackets. And we also need $value. Remember, it's very important to write it exactly as it appears in the data table. And see, it says here we want it from stock data. Okay? We're going to move the semicolon because that means we're done with the query that we're doing, but we're not done with the query. We need to actually add the criteria. Criteria uses the very important thing, or the keyword of where. Now where, and we put some parentheses here, where the value is dollar value is less than 100. Oh, sorry, it's not less than. There you go, less than 100,000. But then, because I love order, we're gonna do order by, which means how we're gonna order it. So we have to order the dollar value field, and we could do it by descending. Remember, caps is actually very important when using SQL. And you see here, actually, I'll just do one. There is actually something wrong in the expression, in this expression. What's wrong? Well, actually, if you see here, I actually did not put a space here. So I tried to pull up that exact field. I went back to stock data and said, where the heck is the field? So it's very important you make sure you copy it exactly as it appears. And there's more errors. I probably didn't say descending. Let me just quickly follow or figure out why. No, that's right. I forgot to have the closing bracket. There we go. There's more errors. What did I do this time?
Give a big shout out thanks to
okay, well, that apparently worked for some reason.
Doing this video with me.
Alright, so clearly it worked. Alright. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of SQL, nor am I completely familiar with it, so I won't really touch upon it anymore. So sorry about that. So we're gonna go, and it says here that we need to name it. We need to name it stocks that lost value. Alright, now that we're done with step 6, we can move on to step 7. Now, it says to create a query whose total value is greater than 100,000 or has a share price of less than $100. By share price, I assume safely that it means the current share price. There's over here. And if I scroll through here, I only see one that's like over 100. But there are plenty that have a value of over 100,000. So we're gonna go and use the query designer again. So create query design. I'm gonna add this again. Which ones did we need? Well, it says we needed company name, of course, the dollar value, and the price per share on November 1st. So we're going to go to our criteria, say greater than 100,000. We're going to go over here, say or has a sale price of less than $100. Alright, now we're going to run the data and see, it says here. See, while these two do not actually have a total value of 100,000, we actually get those still returned. Why? Because their price per share on November 1st is less than $90. So if you meet either criteria, which is what the function or means, it will be displayed. Alright? So we have to save this, and we'll save it as stocks of interest. Okay, so now we're now on step 7. Amazing. We are blowing through this like I can't think of one right now. So we're burning through these pretty quick. So step 8 is really simple. We just do the same exact thing with different criteria. We're gonna just create a new one. There we go. Create a new query. I'm gonna go here, stock data. We're gonna add that. Alright, it says here whose value is 100,000 and has sale price of less than 100. That's very specific. That means it has to have equal to 100,000 and have a price less than 100. You know, I'm telling you now, I'm pretty confident that this will probably return nothing. I'm pretty sure, actually. So, the value has to be equal to... Can't count how many zeros. Alright. Equal to 100,000 and has a sale price of less than 100. See, you notice how I put it in both in the criteria and not in the or. That when I run it, I'll probably, yep, absolutely nothing. If I look up the assignment for sheet, it says total value is 100,000, so I'm pretty sure that's how it's set. So we're gonna save this, and it's called Stocks of Interest 2. And I know how to spell too. Isn't that great? Awesome. So we just blew through pretty much the easiest 3 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 steps. The easiest 4 steps in the entire project. Well, there's another 4 steps we just did, so we're amazing. Now the last 2 steps are actually quite difficult. So we're gonna take a quick break. I'm gonna get myself some water because I kind of just got home and I'm a little thirsty. But the last 2 steps shouldn't take longer than 5-10 minutes. They are a bit longer than the other 4 steps we just did. So I'll be back shortly. Alright? Thanks for listening. I'll be back to do the last 2 steps of the assignment. See you soon.